slightly different angle this time. I'm in my living room and not my normal review space for headphones because we're reviewing my 5X Jubilees, which I keep on a special stand out here because they're kind of special to me. These are what I use out here on my burgeoning, my blossoming hi-fi system, which currently consists of basically a turntable, and 2 headphone amps and some powered monitors. But these are the headphones I listen to out here with, and pretty much exclusively these. These are what I use for tube vinyl, and that should tell you something about them. We'll get to sound quality at the end, price before that, and before that, build quality. So the build of these is, well, it's Sennheiser. So the 5X Jubilees X Mass Drop, which are Sennheisers sold through Mass Drop, but I think they're really made by Sennheiser. Anyhow, they look like 600 series headphones, 600, 650, 660, 6XX. I've heard the 660s and the 600s, not the 650 or XX, but you know, whatever. Good enough for comparison's sake. So, like Sennheisers, they have a pretty tight clamp. This kind of proprietary-ish, not really proprietary, but not often used connection, which is, it's fine. I think the 600s have that kind of like weird multi-pad thing, but 2 pads is fine. Mostly plastic with some metal to connect this kind of main underpart, main underpinning. Metal grate. You get this much range of movement for your head, and then you can have that nice solid clicking, really solid click for adjusting your height. The pads are a little scrunchy. You can kind of hear them kind of crackle a little bit. And they do come off. You can replace them. I don't feel the need. I like the velour, keeping them a little more open, and they're decently comfortable and higher quality. There are plenty of aftermarket pads. You can feel free to upgrade if you so desire. I mean, honestly, if you know the 600 line, you know what these are built like. The only difference really is that they have this kind of weird matte to gloss finish, which I don't like because that's stupid. And I think they should have just made it match, but whatever. I think they may have wanted to make, I don't know. Sennheiser has this weird thing where sometimes they just make headphones that are really good, but look ugly. Like the 600s before the current gen that had that kind of speckle effect. That was weird. The cable is about 6 feet long. It's very standard. I mean, other than the double connector, which does let you run these balanced if you have the right a different cable. It's pretty standard, just rubberized dual wire, terminating at 3.5, and I believe it came with a 1/4-inch adapter. Came in a Mass Drop box. It was blue and white. It was cardboard, and these are just sitting in it. No unboxing experience worth mentioning on that. I wish it was better, but that's what you get with Mass Drop. Lower price, no unboxing. They're comfortable. If you like Sennheiser. Some people hate Sennheiser because they do crush a little bit, and if you have kind of a smaller head, they can kind of hurt your jaw at the bottom a little bit. I don't. These are very comfortable for me, and I kind of like maintaining that clamp, but to each their own, so fair warning about that. And these have maintained their clamp in like a year and something of use, so they retain that shape. Price, $180. So these make them the cheapest of the 600 line, even though they're not 6, they don't start with a 6, they're 580s. But they're basically 600 line. 600s were basically the entry of audiophile approved headphones. Then the 6XXs kind of pushed that back, and now the 5Xs have pushed that farther back, which is a good thing. Because for half-ish the price of the current 600s, I think on Amazon they're about $400 right now, you can get into high-end audio. This is definitely audiophile. So don't think that because they're cheaper than the others in the line that they sound worse or are built worse. They're built the same, and they sound similar. They have a similar sound. What would be the word for that? Sound signature, I guess. So let's get into their sound. They are open back, but they have a pretty thick foam, so you kind of can't see the drivers. You can kind of see them a little bit on the front there. So they're dynamic, like the other 600 lines. They are 300 ohms, but they have a good sensitivity level, so they're actually pretty easy to drive, really. But you need a little power. I wouldn't power these off of a cell phone, though you probably could. I do like having an amp, which that amp has all the power ever. I don't know how, but it pushes things loud. You could also get a little more power if you ran this balance, but a balance cable for these was like $50. So you can do it. Again, it's another mod you can make, and I might get one because I'd like it to be a nicer cable, and I would like the ability to run balance, but for right now I haven't found the need to justify it yet. They are more intimate than you would expect for open back. They do have decent soundstage, like things do happen outside the cup, but they are not wide, which you would kind of expect for something this open. Now, I think it's mostly because there's this thick foam here, which makes it really hard to see the magnet structure back there, or the dynamic structure of the magnet right being there. But that does reflect some of the bass and make these the punchiest of the 600 line. They're not punchy as far as headphones go, but punchier. And every single thing about them is clean. They're kind of warm. I'd say they're a little towards the lower end. They are very clear. They're very clear and clean. At least, especially for this price point. They're not like monitoring headphones. I would not monitor with these because they're far from neutral. They're kind of a little bit warmer, not dark, but warm. They have good imaging, good resolution. And the way I would describe the sound is kind of like that. This feels like an audiophile listening session now. This is what you would sit in a leather chair and listen to audio, listen to a turntable with. Which is why I do that. And I plug them into that tube amp because the tube does make them a little bit warmer even. It kind of bumps up that mid bass to, kind of lower, kind of male vocals area. Warms that up, boosts it a little bit. And then it does widen the soundstage a little bit. It makes it just feel that little bit squeezed farther out, which you kind of need because these are more intimate than you would expect. You could have heard, you could take off this because this is like Sennheiser. You can take this all apart with like just poking things with like a little metal rod. Nothing, like there's no screws, or at least very few. You can take these off and then take out the foam and then make this more open, which I've heard makes it a little less warm and a little more open. It makes them sound more close to 600, to like 660s. Whereas I say right now, they're kind of a weird 660 to 600 hybrid because they're more intimate like 600s, but have a similar signature to 660s, but then have more punch than anything. So they're a little weird, but for the price, to get into this 600 line, to get into true audiophile, into this kind of very respectable, very like, oh yes, I have Sennheiser sort of world. This is the entry point, and these are amazing, and they sound very much like things that cost 2 or 3 times as much. So I cannot recommend these enough. Get these off Massdrop. They've been available forever. $180, and you can mod away if you want.